Okay, so have you ever seen how two things that seem totally unrelated can suddenly crash together and, well, change everything? That's exactly what's happening right now in the world of finance. We've got a super technical banking rule on one side and a major new law on the other. And together, they're paving the way for one of the biggest shakeups to money we've seen in our lifetimes. So let's just ask the question right out of the gate. What on earth does a pretty boring technical banking standard have to do with the big, loud political law coming out of the U.S. Capitol? On the surface, absolutely nothing. But trust me, the secret connection between these two is the key to understanding the future of the dollar. So let's dive in and pull these two threads apart one by one. All right, first up, let's tackle that technical rule. It's called ISO 2202. And honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like a universal translator for the entire global financial system. It's designed to replace the old, creaky plumbing of the banking world, some of which was literally built back in the 1970s.
And you can see the upgrade right here. The old system, which is called Swift MT, it was basically like sending a telegram, just a short, clunky block of text with very little information. The new standard, ISO 22222, is like going from that telegram to sending a perfectly organized, detailed data file. It uses a language called XML, which means every single piece of information, who, what, where, why, is perfectly tagged and structured. It's a huge leap forward.
So, why does this matter in the real world? Well, JP Morgan actually gave this perfect example. In the old system, if you tried to send money to someone named, say, Cuba Smith, who lives in New York, the compliance software might freeze the payment. Why? Because it just sees the word Cuba and freaks out, thinking it's related to the country. But with ISO 20200, the data is structured. The system sees a name tag that says Cuba Smith and a country tag that says US. There's no confusion, no false alarm, and the payment zips right through. This is going to cut down on errors and fraud in a massive way.
And I want to be super clear. This isn't some maybe one day kind of thing. It is happening right now. The global migration is well underway. SWIFT, which is the backbone of all international banking, is deep into this transition. And look at that deadline. By November 2025, the old system gets switched off for good. The clock is ticking for every single financial institution out there. And here is where things get really interesting. This is where the world of crypto smashes right into traditional finance. You're looking at a handful of cryptocurrencies that were built from the ground up to be fluent in this new language, ISO 2022. And that is no accident. They were designed for things like international payments and trade finance, positioning themselves not to kill the banks, but to work with them inside this new global framework.
Okay, that's piece number one. Now for the second piece of our puzzle, the new law. It's called the Genius Act, and what it is really is the first major federal rule book for stablecoins. You know, those digital tokens that are pegged to the US dollar. You can think of it as finally giving these new digital dollars an official driver's license.
And this law isn't messing around. It lays down some very strict rules. First, every single digital dollar has to be backed one-to-one by real, safe assets, like cash or short-term T-bills. No funny business. Second, total transparency. The companies have to publish monthly reports on their reserves, and those have to be checked by a real accounting firm. Third, they have to play by the same anti-money laundering rules as banks. And fourth, and this is a big one for consumers, if one of these companies goes bankrupt, the people holding the stablecoins are first in line to get their money back.
Now, proponents like Senator Bill Hagerty, they'll tell you this is all about securing the dollar's place in the future. They argue it's going to spark innovation, make payments faster and safer for all of us, and make sure America leads the way in the new digital economy.
But not everyone is sold. You've got sharp criticism from people like New York Attorney General Letitia James. She argues the law just doesn't go far enough. Her point is, look, if these companies are going to act like banks, then they should be regulated like banks, with all the protections that come with that, like federal deposit insurance, to prevent a major collapse. So there we have it, the new language for global money, and the new rule book for digital dollars.
What's the connection?
It's everything. Think about it like this. It's so simple. ISO 2022 builds the new high-speed rails for the entire global financial system, a modern, standardized network for everyone. And the Genius Act? It regulates the brand new digital trains, these legally approved, fully backed digital dollars that can run on those very rails.
The rails and the trains. When you put them together, you get one single, unified system for the future of money.
Okay, so we've got this new architecture, this combination of rails and trains. But what does it actually do? What's the real-world impact going to be?
First off, the foundation for all of this, it's already here. A recent review by MasterCard found that almost 2/3 of all modern real-time payment systems around the world are already built on ISO 2202. It's not just coming, it's already becoming the dominant global standard. So let's bring it home. Why should you care? Well, for starters, it means faster and cheaper payments, especially when you're sending money internationally. It also means more transparency and security. With all that rich data, it's a lot harder for fraud and errors to slip through the cracks. And maybe most exciting, this opens a door for a massive wave of innovation, because now old-school banks and brand-new startups can all build cool new financial services on the exact same global standard.
But as with any massive change like this, it is not without controversy. In fact, there are two very, very different ways to look at what's really going on here.
So you have the official story, which is all about innovation, security, and a stronger dollar. But the critics are raising some serious red flags. We already heard from the NY Attorney General about the consumer risk. But then you have law professor Adam Levitin, who points out that giving stablecoin holders first priority if a company goes bankrupt, well, it sounds great, but it could mean that the crypto industry is being subsidized at the potential expense of you and me, regular folks with money in a normal bank.
But there is an even wilder theory out there. What if this whole thing isn't just about faster payments? Remember how the Genius Act requires stablecoins to be backed by cash or U.S. government debt? Well, as financial analyst Alejandro Solomon points out, this could effectively turn every single person holding a regulated stablecoin into an indirect buyer of U.S. debt. This would create a massive, built-in, captive market for treasury bonds, which could be a very convenient way to help the government manage its national debt.
So that's the real question, isn't it? What is this great financial upgrade truly about? Is it the dawn of a faster, safer, more innovative financial world for everybody? Or is it a brilliantly designed blueprint to secure the dollar's future by turning every person holding a digital dollar into an unknowing investor in U.S. government debt? The rails have been laid. The trains are leaving the station. The only question now is, where are they really headed?